Hello, beautiful friends and family of light. Thank you for being here. So grateful for all of you and for this community eternally. So, I just want to share some things that I have been feeling as usual on my journey in hopes that it helps you. This energy right now is phenomenal, and there is an eclipse tonight. And actually, I know that if you're in North America, you should be able to see it. If you're a night owl like I am, you might be able to actually see it. It's a lunar eclipse. And I just want to speak on eclipses for a minute because this is important for anyone who maybe needs to hear this. Eclipses really are very powerful gateways. This is not just new age woo-woo. This is very important in my experience because I've actually had an eclipse that really knocked me on my ass. So ever since then, I've really paid attention to the powerful energy of eclipses. And there's nothing wrong with that. And they're not positive or negative. It's really just huge shifts. It's just huge transformational energy. And that's what I'm feeling really right now. I feel like especially with this eclipse axis being in Scorpio and Taurus, which is kind of new. I'm not completely sure, but I know we were in like a Cancer Capricorn axis for like a year or longer. So this is kind of new energy for a while, at least since the last time of this cycle. And yeah, I'm really loving it. I'm really feeling it, and it's intense. It's always intense, but especially when you throw that Scorpio in there, which I'm actually a rising Scorpio, so I love it. I actually love and hate it, because I know this energy pretty well, and it is very deep. It's really about diving so deep within yourself, within even going to like these really shadowy depths, to be blunt, the depths of hell, and being able to be fine there, but not just be fine there, but to extract everything, all of this amazing wisdom from just going deep within yourself. I hope this makes sense. Because that's really what I've been feeling, and I've been talking to some other people, and I know that a lot of us are having very transformational experiences right now, and a lot of integration. I've been feeling that a lot myself, and I want to speak on that as well. I think that's important because it ties in really smoothly with my last couple videos of just really allowing, like I said before, allowing the ego to know that it doesn't have to be the driver in your life anymore, that the higher self is here, that the higher self is back. Being present, observing yourself, observing when that ego does try to jump to the forefront for that control, which it doesn't really have, which often leads to self-sabotage. So I want to go a little deeper into that because I've really been experiencing that, and I've really been maneuvering that, and it's really interesting to see, and I think a lot of people are going to relate to this, these older aspects of ourselves, past versions of ourselves, really coming up right now. And this has been happening, but it's really been happening for me. Just seeing past versions of yourselves, specifically past versions of yourself that were very hurt or maybe traumatized, or just these energies that you've experienced in your life that you no longer resonate with. And I just want to assure you that regardless of what you think, you are on your highest self right now. This process of growth, this process of evolution, obviously it's not always so neat and tidy as we think it should be. It doesn't always unfold how we think it should, how the ego thinks it should. So this is really a huge game changer for me. Going deeper into that is when these versions arrive. So I'm just going to be kind of vulnerable and share, stuff that I go through, because literally we all have these things. And, it's important to remind yourself to be gentle on yourself, because any spiritual guides or teachers or people you watch, I can assure you, I've said it before, there's no big shots in reality. We are literally all going through this in our own way. There's no single person whose life is just perfect. And, we all are going through this duality right now. It doesn't mean that you can't be present and enjoy the whole process holistically, which is what I'm talking about. But I just wanted to say that to, never compare yourself to anyone, never compare yourself to anyone, because there's so much more going on behind the scenes than we often realize on the surface. And, the reason I say that is because right now I just feel that strong sense of authenticity. We really need that authenticity and honesty, real honesty. Because we've lived in a society, a matrix that's so fake, and where nothing is as it seems, and everything is so regurgitated, but it's so like packaged and pristine so well when it's really not what it is. So just, I don't know why that came up, but just a random reminder of that. But going back into what I was saying about these aspects. So for example, it could be behaviors, addictions, like beliefs. For me, it's a lot of old beliefs of self-worth, not being good enough, lack mentality, things like this that are like, when you observe your thoughts, you really notice like when these things come up and you're like, where did that come from? And a lot of times our first, we have like a knee-jerk reaction to that is like, oh my God, why am I having these thoughts? Like, this is so annoying. It's like, it's like, oh my God, I'm regressing. Like, why am I thinking this way? I think there's like a huge tendency for us to go into like this spiral of judging ourselves and freaking out and resisting it. And so we kind of, I don't know what the word is, like spin in our own tracks, if that makes sense, when it's really not necessary. And this is why this is such a game changer for me, because integration really is key. So, and this is really what I'm getting at. So a lot of times we have this knee-jerk reaction to these thoughts, or whether it's behaviors or addictions or patterns, when we see them and we're like, oh my gosh, why is this coming up again? I thought I dealt with this. And in my experience, literally all these things all these aspects of you want is to be seen. To be seen and accepted and loved. Just like with the ego. It doesn't mean they need to control your life, because you already are your highest version. You've already progressed past these things. But to be truly whole, we all have these aspects of ourselves. And there's a lot of teachings about these fragmented aspects of ourselves, these split aspects of ourselves through trauma. A lot of times we fragmented. That's how we've dealt with being in this really dense world, especially as children, is like we like split. And so those energies come up when they're ready to be healed. It's not an accident. Every single thing that you're experiencing right now, I can guarantee you, is literally by design. It's a divine design for you to really get these soul lessons. And we are all in our own completely unique journey, 100%, just like we're all kind of going through this together, But I definitely feel like transformation is a huge theme right now, because it's just, the energy is so potent. And a lot of times with, again, eclipses, energies, there's a lot of transformation, and just such a high charged time of the year right now anyways. So I really just wanted to say that, because I actually experienced that, and I've been doing that more and more of seeing these hurt aspects of myself, and instead of judging them, instead of being like, why am I feeling you? Like, you are so annoying. Like, I don't want to be angry. I don't want to be in lack. I don't want to be depressed. I'm tired of not feeling good enough. These kinds of things. And again, we all have our own stuff. Instead of, again, that still resisting it and still being like, because it's intense internally, it can be really intense of like, I don't want to feel this anymore. But again, a lot of these things, in my experience right now, if they're coming up for you, they literally just want to be seen and acknowledged and loved and brought back in. Like, an analogy would be inviting them back in. Like, not so that they can control you like they used to. That's not what it's about at all, because you're already evolved past that. So that you can integrate these things. because we all have a human journey. None of us are perfect. We've all had pain. We've all had trauma. We've all had these instances where we've had to split or we've had to fragment ourselves, you know? And just to say one more thing on that note, because there's a lot of healing going on. I know for me, I'm having some deep healing, like not just like surface level healing, but like deep healing that feels just like so divinely timed that all I can do is really just sit back and let this happen. And as these hurt versions of myself from the past come up, love them, truly see them for who they are. It's like, again, because a lot of stuff did happen in childhood, but so just as an example, seeing that as a child, as your child self, having compassion for that. Again, it doesn't mean they drive the car. You're still driving, but they can still sit in the car. And because your higher self, you, who you are now, has everything you need to heal those hurt fragments of you, to heal those hurt aspects of you. If it's coming up, you have what you need to heal those aspects of you now. That's what integration is all about. It's not about coming at any of these, no matter how painful it is, when you come at these aspects of yourself, like there's something wrong with them, you know, that's when we really suffer, because those aspects, again, ultimately just want to be seen and integrated into who you are now. And when you really start to do that, and you'll feel it, you know, I've talked about this before, you'll feel it. You'll feel whatever that hurt part of you felt, whether, again, it was lack of self-worth, anger, fear, trauma. You'll feel that. And I've talked about this before, though. If you can just feel that and allow that and have compassion for that, have compassion for yourself, have compassion and realize that you always did the best you could with what you had. Those hurt versions of yourself did the best they could with what they had. Deep compassion. And do that again and again and again. It's not always instant. But the more you do that, when you start to notice, again, whether it's thoughts or behaviors, addictions come up, when you can really just integrate them. I've noticed that really has been such a blessing. That's really been a huge game changer for me in my path. So I hope that's helpful for you. I hope that resonates. You know, it's kind of abstract to explain, but it's really not, especially if you do resonate with this and you have been noticing this and feeling this. And it really is just building off of not letting the ego drive the car, but also not demonizing the ego, not hating the ego, not screaming at the ego, you know, not screaming at, because the ego manifests as these broken versions of yourself from the past. You know, these hurt parts. So as simple as possible, when these things come up, the more you can truly honor them and accept them and love them instead of resist them and demonize them and push them away, because you really can't push them away. Ultimately, for healing and wholeness, you have to learn how to integrate them. And again, that doesn't mean you're letting them take over your life. If you're in your higher self, there's no way they actually could. Again, a lot of times we have that knee-jerk reaction because as soon as we notice that behavior or addiction, we have fear that takes over. And we're like, you know, again, like, why am I feeling this way? Why am I acting this way? Blah, blah, blah. When you can kind of come at a higher perspective and observe and just welcome these things in. And again, just be compassionate, you know, be like, I see you. I understand you. I love you. You know, just give it a big hug. Give that aspect of you a big bear hug. Seriously. Visualize that. That's what I do. And watch how your life transforms. Recognize that those aspects are a part of you, but they're not who you are. They don't have to run the show. They don't have to drive the car. You know, not to beat that analogy to a pulp, but it's so important right now because I know it's intense. You know, I know it's intense because some of these aspects it's deep. That's this energy right now. That's the Scorpio energy right now. That's the energy in general right now. But Scorpio really highlights that in my experience. of just going into those depths. And there's really nothing to be afraid of, because you totally got this. Otherwise, it wouldn't be coming up. Don't be discouraged by this. You know, it's not meant to discourage you. You're not regressing. Like, that's those mental paradigms. The mind, again, I've said this many times, is really when we suffer, is when we go down those mental rabbit holes. But even have compassion for that. That's what I mean, those beliefs, those programs. Have compassion for yourself, navigating that, because it's crazy, you know, it's inverted. This is the mind control. We are literally breaking and being very vigilant about our minds and our thoughts, but also being in our hearts and having compassion for ourselves so deeply. Because the heart, that's really how we heal. And when we heal, we grow. And when we grow, we really make some big changes in ourselves and in our lives. So naturally, we make big changes in the world. You know, that's a lot of where I feel called to do my work right now, is really healing this shadow, this collective shadow. There's no denying it. And it goes deep. But that's why we're here. You know, and it's like I tell people a lot, I just feel this focus and this firmness so much in what's unfolding here, and this knowingness that it's so worth it, so I don't have fear. And again, it's multidimensional, so that doesn't mean that I never feel fear come up. It doesn't mean that I don't go through these difficult things with myself. You know, it doesn't mean like, it's more like I'm able to recognize that all of these things are part of the process. It's literally designed this way. And again, the more you can integrate that and be in your heart, that it's almost like the more smoothly it can flow. So I hope that was helpful. I hope that makes sense. Again, it's kind of abstract to explain, but it's really not. It's really simple, you know, and there's a lot of, you know, even ancient teachings on this, on fragmented aspects of the self. So I'm sure this is probably coming up for a lot of people right now, and it really does take a lot of courage to do this kind of work. But again, it's always worth it. What we're doing is so worth it. It's such a blessing. There's so many behaviors and addictions and things that we've had to do to cope with life, because life has been hard on earth. There's no denying it, especially for people like us, especially for sensitive people, or, you know, people who are open to this kind of thing. It's almost like we've had to come up with a lot of coping mechanisms in this life, and for me, I feel in many lifetimes, to deal with this world and be able to function. And it's almost like now, because of the light growing on the world, it's like we don't need all of these coping mechanisms anymore. And in fact, it's these coping mechanisms of fragmented selves, or like this ego behavior that's all about keeping us safe, keeping us from being authentic and vulnerable and sovereign. These coping mechanisms that used to actually keep us safe in the old age now literally have to be transformed, because now they're actually holding us back. You know, now it's like we're literally stepping into a whole new energy. And I know this in my heart. I can feel it so strong. And again, despite the challenges and the difficulties that I know arise and will continue to arise, ultimately, I have no fear, because I know it's always worth it. And I know that I'm going to do everything I need to do in each moment to the highest of my ability to be who I am. And that's what we're all doing. So much love to all of you. I hope you have an amazing eclipse. Hopefully you'll be able to see it. I know it's kind of late, you know, I think it's around like 3 a.m. Don't quote me on that. I would look it up for Eastern time, but let's see if there's anything else. As you can see, I got a new microphone, a little better setup. I hope that, you know, that makes it better. I'm not very tech savvy, but I'm getting there. Yeah, be you. That's another thing that comes up a lot, is just being you. being you fully. I know I have aspects of myself that are really bold and blunt, always have been, contrarian even sometimes. And then some aspects of me that are so vulnerable that it's really been hard to express. I don't know if that resonates with anyone, but that's part of something that I've been going through. And really coming back to that sovereignty, that authenticity and that honesty is a part of being sovereign. You know, I think, again, it's that ego that tries to hide these vulnerable parts because it thinks that it's not safe, or you have something to lose, or you have something to prove by being who you are fully. And you don't. You have nothing to lose. You have nothing to prove. You are who you are. We are all unique. We are all fingerprints of God, as they say. We are all meant to be different. And the more you go into yourself, the more you find this unique, beautiful being that longs to express who they really are fully, unapologetically, unfiltered, you know, truly from the heart. Okay, that is all for now. I love you all so, so much. Thank you for being here. It is such an honor to be connected to all of you and to have this community of beings that really just get me, and they just get the energy. It's really a treat. So I'm really excited to be connecting. I feel like more and more, I just feel this natural shift of starting to connect with fellow light beings, or whatever you want to call us, light workers, fellow beings that are spiritual truth seekers. You know, I've been hermiting in my cave for a very long time because I love it. And I still am, but now I do feel this organic pull to start really working with people, you know, not forcing it, of course, but just letting it happen. And I just want to mention that because I think a lot of us are feeling that too. And that's so exciting, so exciting. That means like we're literally entering a new phase of what we're doing here, what we're building on this mission. And so excited. Okay, I will talk to you soon. So much love to all of you. Thank you again for being here. Beautiful, brave souls. You are so worthy of all the love you could possibly imagine. And that is what God does, what the universe wants for you, to be free. Until next time.